Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna here. Basically, I discussing another topic that is city creation. City creation. Basically, I discussing another topic that is future creation. In this, basically, we are discussing another topic that is India account, SB account, Amazon account, and after 2 days, basically, the big earthquake is going to come to India. So that is the topic basically which we are discussing. In this, basically, we discuss that the 100 crore child which is going to come, that basically is the process, basically, right? But before launching the lava data, basically, that is the chemical data, the 110 crore project basically converts into the chemical. Before that, basically, lots of process basically happens. That process is the 100 crore child is going to take birth, basically. But that would be in the form of animal, basically. So one person told that, you told that basically animals are basically the past ended generation. That is also there, basically. Then one of the person told how to recognize the animals, basically. That is also question that this animal is basically coming from 55th number planet ended generation, because each generation basically ends for remember basically they creates animal basically of that blood cells up to the level blood cells has created basically. So like this basically 102 time basically world has ended. So 102 types of animals basically are there. That is one thing. Another is this animal basically, that is the 100 crore basically, which is child basically, which is going to happen. Before that basically they test. If they are testing, that means in the observation of that group only basically they are testing. On the observation of that group only basically they are testing. They are testing on the base of that only, na, basically. Otherwise basically, why the testing is required basically? That means they can see that animal basically. They can see that animal, on the base of that they have created the animals. So one of the person told that like this only the world is basically ongoing. Like this way the world is ongoing. That also basically you can say. That is one thing basically. And the another thing is the 100 crore birth basically happens, and the animal basically creation happens. One person told that the project software company basically they keeps the track of each and every animals. They keeps the track of each and every animals. And on the base of that only basically the creations happen. On the base of that only basically the creation happens. That is one thing. So the animal basically which you see, that is basically connecting to the 100 crore child. Basically. So you can just imagine basically the 100 crore child is 100% going to happen. If anybody say that basically this 100 crore child basically is not going to happen, that is false. So here basically I can add 100%. So in future that child is 100% going to happen. So that condition basically is 100% going to satisfy. That is the current human generation creation. So whatever they have done, that is 100% the birth is going to happen in future. So you can just imagine basically what up to what level the stuff basically are. So that is one thing basically. That is surety basically that 100% going to happen. And the another side is one person basically is going to die. So up to what many how many days basically he gets the information that he basically is going to die. So his death data basically, that is the energy data, is going to come near his around how many days basically before. So one person told that for that there are two systems. One is the groups who are controlled by the satellite group basically, and the another is the groups who are controlling by the human clone groups. That is the human clone family basically. For example, one family basically died, one person basically died, and they are controlled by the human clone group, and they will basically do that only basically which they are supposed to do. You do whatever basically they are going to do that only which they are supposed to do. That means they are going to do that only basically which they have told basically. They have told in the energy format and in the virtual format or in the physical format. So one person told that that is one thing. So one person died, and after die, before die basically, sorry, one person basically going to die basically, not died basically, going to die. So before 2 days basically, assume that basically he gets the data. So in that 2 days basically, what calculation happens here basically? That is basically strange, no, basically, that his data basically is going to crash to that particular bus basically which is ongoing. So we know basically that the person basically who died, that is going to connect to his that bus basically. That is strange basically, no? Literally that is strange, yeah, basically. One person told that that is literally strange basically. One person told that that is literally strange. That one person is going to die before 2 days basically he gets the information, but he don't get the information that he is going to die. But here the main this within this 2 day basically, what are the things basically going to happen basically? For example, the one person basically is very rich person basically. So that energy basically, that is the death energy basically, calculates what basically, yeah, basically, that this mountain basically is supposed to crash. Thousand building basically is going to crash. Sorry, it's currently not it's building basically, it's house basically. So thousand house is going to crash. So that information basically, anybody basically gets that information, or basically the satellite groups only basically maps that basically, that one person basically is going to die, and after death basically this data is going, that data is going to connect to that mountain basically, and thousand house are going to damage. That means mountain is going to damage and thousand house basically is going to go down. So like this basically, you will not able to believe it basically, and this happens more in mountain basically. Why? Because in mountain only basically this type of activity happens. For example, one person told that we are not able to track one person basically whose head basically has damaged. We tracked each and every software company, then also basically we are not able to track. Then one person basically given one idea, track in mountain basically. In mountain basically somewhere basically there might be someone basically who might have done this basically. Reason in mountain basically this type of activity happens basically. If you can't track anything, that means basically it's a mountain only. But it's very difficult. How basically you can track the mountain here basically? How many peoples basically are staying in the mountain basically? How you can track that basically? So that is impossible task. That is not possible. And mountain area basically address is also not in Google basically. Then how you are going? For example, I will go to mountain and basically I will search Google basically that this area basically. You can't able to find that area. Why? Because Google don't have that data. If Google might basically having that data, the head basically might have damaged by the person basically. That might not have happened. That means Google is late. Here basically Google is given one certification that is late, that you are late. Then they will say that basically what benefit basically I am going to get from mountain basically. If they have not done basically, then there might be some reason basically. So they will say that basically we are basically what benefit basically we are going to get. That is also question. That is also question. So that's about the benefit. That is the faida basically. In Hindi basically it is called as a faida. So one person told that in this world basically if anything unexpected happens basically track that basically one person basically has died, his data is connected to that unexpected thing basically. So that's very dangerous thing basically. This actually you have to stop basically. So for that basically one person told that for that basically we have to take the everything basically in our control. So he's telling that basically like this basically we have designed the plan basically to take the everything basically in our control. So if you want Sunil basically we can display that plan basically. In that basically he told that basically tree basically we are going to finish. We are going to create few human clones. In human clones basically this would be tree means 1 lakh tree equal to 1,000 crore, sorry, 100 crore trees. So that basically you can just imagine here basically up to what level the world has reached basically. And this basically has reached up to very dangerous level basically. You will not able to believe it basically. And somebody literally is doing the plan basically. He's firing each and every tree from this world basically. From this world basically he's firing each and every tree basically. So he might have some plan basically. He basically might have some plan basically. So that plan basically might be that he might be telling that basically we Earth planet basically will become acid basically. So one person told that Earth planet basically can become acid basically. So that plan basically might be we basically can't say anything basically. That what is the plan of that particular person basically. Or basically whoever might be, we can't disclose basically who is that person basically. So one person told that yes, yeah, basically that's very strange basically. Lots of strange thing is basically happening in this world basically. So in this world basically, lots of strange thing is basically happening. So one person told that yes, basically that's everything basically is happening strange basically. So one person told that yes, basically that's basically. So one person told that that's strange basically. So one person told that that is strange, yeah, basically. And this he's going to implement basically. That is 100% sure. Basically. He's going to implement basically. Mark my word, he's going to implement because half of the world basically is finished by the tree basically. Half of the trees basically are finished from this world basically. That means he's going to implement basically. That is 100% sure. Basically. He's going to implement this technology. This basically you can give as a technology basically. Because each and every stuff basically which are experimented that are converting into technology only basically. For example, Microsoft is one technology basically. Lots of people say that it's a software, but it is one technology basically, which has somebody has created something basically that basically you can say it's a human clone basically. One person basically groups that group basically is got some birth basically, and his birth basically has converted to one group, and he basically is doing some innovation basically. So that basically converts into technology basically. One person basically do anything basically manually, then basically that person basically blood cells basically becomes as a technology basically. That person basically becomes as a tech. For example, one person basically is writing in from pen basically. Somebody liked his writing basically, that is handwriting. So immediately basically he copied that handwriting and put as a font basically. So that is technology, na, basically. One person basically is doing manual thing basically. One person basically is writing one story basically. In story basically he written few things bold, few bullets basically he had, few font basically he added differently, something basically lots of designing basically done. So this basically he doing word basically. So word basically is one software basically which is created by Microsoft, that basically is, comes into the MS Office. That is basically one technology basically also you can see basically. The person basically was writing manually. That same thing basically it has converted into software basically. So one person basically is doing something and his blood cells basically gets converts to technology. So Microsoft is one technology which is created on the base of set of blood cells. That also you can see. And that's very risky and very dangerous. And that group basically has created 10 crore child basically, 10 crore project basically, which is going to birth as a 100 crore. And that 100 crore testing basically is ongoing. So you can't imagine basically if one implementation basically happens. So before that lava gets before that 10 crore project basically converts into chemical basically and then into lava. Lots of basically testing basically are done. So it's a huge level of testing basically. I'm telling you, it's a huge level of medical testing, software testing. Then basically the data science project comes into the picture. Data science project also basically comes. Basically. Data science project also basically comes. Data science project also basically comes into the picture. So you can just imagine basically world has reached up to the certain level basically. And this everything is done basically. Now basically you can't do anything. So one person told that this was done, this is basically good or basically for bad basically this has happened. That is also a question basically. Because if you are doing anything basically, any task basically you are doing, it is going to convert to negative task or basically the positive task. It is going to connect to negative task and positive task. One thing basically is going to happen. And it might possible sometime basically the negative and positive both basically gets into the picture. So that type of stuff basically are also there. So that depends upon the person. One person basically told that basically I basically stolen that person's rupees basically. I basically given punish cyber group basically, cyber cell basically. Cyber cell group told that basically I have given one punishment to that particular person. So for them basically it's a positive task. But the person whose money basically has stolen, who got the punishment, that is basically negative task basically. That is basically the negative task for that particular person basically. That is basically the negative task basically for that particular person basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the stuff basically are connected basically. So one person told that somebody is trying to create something basically. That means he basically might have some plan basically. Without plan basically he's going to do this. No, basically he's not going to. One person told that you will not able to believe it basically. What actually I want to say. The universe group basically came and they told that basically you have to create this. Do you know basically what is that basically? That is one human basically. That is one human basically. His behavior is like that. He's basically thinking up to that level. He's doing this, that, each and everything. And that person basically, they have taken that person blood cells, they have taken his data, each and every data basically they have taken, and then basically they started the project basically. And then they told that basically universe group basically because universe group nowadays basically they are telling that basically we are basically giving the requirement, but exact requirement basically we have to give. So sometimes basically they give up to this level requirement also basically, up to this level requirement also basically they give, up to this level requirement also basically they give. 7% told that this everything basically you told one person going to die. So when basically he's going to die, his data basically connects to his body, near about body basically, and his body basically will react. So after 2 days basically he's going to die. That data is already settled in the near around his body parts. So his behavior, his nature, his communication, everything basically would be like that only. Basically. Why? Because the environment is already settled near around his body basically. Assume that after 2 days basically he died. So within these 2 days basically what calculation happens that they basically do the disaster in that mountain only basically. Why they don't do disaster in that mountain basically? That mountain. But why basically they have done the disaster in that particular specific mountain only basically? There might be some reason basically. Without any reason basically, nobody do everything anything basically. Without any reason basically, nobody does everything anything basically. So you can just imagine, just a minute. So one of the person told that I will take one example basically. This is actually ink pen, right? Previous day basically, this ink pen basically was getting used in school basically. You will not able to believe it basically. Somebody basically banned this ink pen basically. Somebody basically told that we basically are banning this ink pen. Now basically you can't use ink pen in school basically. So ball pen basically system came basically. Gel pen system basically came. Lots of other types of pen basically came into the picture. Basically. So this is ink pen basically. See basically. You can see this pen. See basically ink is there. Ink pen is there. So this is very old pen basically. See basically. Same way basically. There is one more ink pen basically. I always use most of ink pen basically. So this is that whole pen basically, which has basically school group has basically done the banning basically. Ban means they are telling that basically we are not going to use that pen basically. So this is another ink pen basically. So you can see this pen. See basically. So this pen basically is banned in the school basically. So student basically are not supposed to use this ink pen basically. Why? Because in school basically everything is banned basically. That means they basically decided that basically ink pen basically we are not supposed to use. So just a minute. So one person told that you are not getting job basically, right? You are not getting job. That is also basically one of the punishment basically which is given by one of the group basically. And the punishment giving group basically never comes into in front of you basically. They basically never comes in front of you basically. So that is also one thing basically. That is also one thing. So just a minute.
गणपति बाप्पा मोरया विघ्न विनाशी नमो नमः अमर विनाशी नमो नमः प्रभु सुख राशि नमो नमः गणपति बाप्पा मोरया ओम विघ्न विनाशी नमो नमः अमर विनाशी नमो नमः प्रभु सुख राशि नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया ओम विघ्न विनाशी नमो नमः अमर विनाशी नमो नमः प्रभु सुख राशि नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया श्री शिवनंदन नमो नमः देव जगवंदन नमो नमः दुष्ट निकंदन नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया श्री शिवनंदन नमो नमः देव जगवंदन नमो नमः कृष्ण निकंदन नमो नमः गणपति बाप्पा मोरया ओम श्री शिवनंदन नमो नमः देव जगवंदन नमो नमः दुष्ट निकंदन नमो नमः गणपति बाप्पा मोरया ओम श्री शिवनंदन नमो नमः देव जगवंदन नमो नमः कृष्ण निकंदन नमो नमः गणपति बाप्पा मोरया चार भुजधारी नमो नमः भव भयहारी नमो नमः देव सुखकारी नमो नमः गणपति बाप्पा मोरया चार भुजधारी नमो नमः भव भयहारी नमो नमः देव सुखकारी नमो नमः गणपति बाप्पा मोरया ओम चार भुजधारी नमो नमः भव भयहारी नमो नमः देव सुखकारी नमो नमः गणपति बाप्पा मोरया ओम चार भुजधारी नमो नमः भव भयहारी
So one person told that that person basically is going to die. Somebody basically done the setting. Basically. So you can't basically you can imagine basically this thing basically which I am telling basically. Normal human basically all death data basically are connected by the satellite or basically the nuclear power company. But who are basically the human clone family only? Their family basically are getting birth, sorry, getting death from that human clone departments only. So they only decides when this person is going to die. When this person basically is going to die, they only basically decides. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the stuff basically are connected. So one person told that this is real or basically you are just telling like that only. Basically. Then basically you have to check that basically. How basically you are going to do it. Because you are creating the chip and you are creating the chip. That means you are taking the entire control of Earth planet. Basically. So this also everything basically comes into the picture. Because when you are taking the entire control of human body basically, that means entire world came into the picture. Basically. And you directly connected with the universe basically. That's very dangerous also and very powerful also. You will become the most powerful person. But for that, basically, you can just imagine up to whatever the expenses are also. Because to create one city, basically, it takes more than 90,000 crore rupees. Basically. Minimum amount, basically, I'm telling you, without any profit, without any margin. If we add margin, then basically it connects to 8 lakh crore, 9 lakh crore. So you can just imagine it. Up to whatever the stuff, basically. Then one of the person told that the police department basically creates the city, right? Basically, they gets the approval from the police department. Sorry, police groups basically gets the approval from Supreme Court, High Courts that we want to separate this state because in future basically if war will happen, then that missile is going to dump to that city. Basically. So that is little bit more about upper basically. That bus is inside that city and city basically is created on the base of this formula. That is what if in future the war will happen, this city is going to use for the war. So as basically you are going upper basically it's going to very dangerous thing. And if you want to confirm this basically, you can confirm basically how many states basically are created and they basically done their separate creation. They created their different state only basically. And for what purpose basically they have created that basically you check. Then basically you will get the information that basically yes, yeah, basically this states are going to end basically that we have never thought of that. But that very less people basically know. Why? Because that all group bus basically are from outsider basically. They are not from India basically. Who creates this everything? If they are then India basically, then basically you can easily able to track that person basically. You can't able to track that person. In this basically India basically I am telling you, many outsider groups comes. They do their task and then basically they leave the country basically. Nobody can able to track that person. Nobody can able to track that person. Why? Because he has done his task and then basically he left. So upper is city creation, state creation, and that is going to end in war. Basically. So missile basically whenever it's going to dump to India, any of the country, basically, you are not taking the, any of the country name. That missile is going to shift it to that particular cities. So you can just imagine basically, Russia and Ukraine war basically is happening. Basically. Russia is throwing the missile basically, but that missile is supposed to dump to which area basically that is decided by the Ukrainian group. Basically. So they basically decides. But in this basically somebody is supporting Ukrainian group. Basically. That might be Europe or might be USA. Basically. Because direction changing of the missile basically this type of powerful technology these groups only basically have. Because if the missile basically is going so up to what speed basically it might be going in that speed basically you have to stop the missile and then basically immediately basically you have to change the direction that also in the environment of energy basically which is dumped basically. So one person told that The missile is going basically, that also have basically one roadmap also. 100% it have the roadmap. And on the base of roadmap basically, the missile are basically getting changing his direction also. So you have to be ready basically. Here basically you have to missile to stop the missile, and here from here basically you have to change the direction of the missile. And this is real basically. The example which I have given basically, war happening between Russia and Ukraine. Russia basically is throwing the missile. Ukraine is also throwing the missile to Russia. But the direction basically of Russia missile basically, which is dumped to the Ukraine basically, that data basically is changed by the Russia, Ukrainian group only. If Ukraine is dumping missile to Russia, that missile basically is changed by Russian group only. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the stuff basically are coming from. So one of the person told that, yeah, which kind of word basically somebody has created. Then one of the person told that we have not told them basically to do the war basically. They are doing the war basically. That was the answer basically of the creator basically. He told that basically we have told them basically don't do the war. But they have done the war now, basically. So they will decide which area to finish. So this connects to one more example. I have taken example of one person basically who done the marriage in Bangalore basically. He connected with one HIV AIDS girl, and that person basically was not having AIDS. Before basically giving him AIDS means to do the marriage with girl basically. They have asked the group basically who is going to do this marriage. They have asked their family also basically, that we are basically going to give him AIDS, and after a certain time basically he's going to die. So are you okay for this? Then basically they say that basically yes, basically we are okay because they give certain level of money to that particular family. Then basically they next step basically they do, that is God family basically. For example, that person basically is doing fasting of Hanumanji. They basically do, they ask Hanumanji basically, Hanumanji temple basically groups, because they can't basically directly ask Hanumanji basically, because Hanumanji basically does not exist in our planet basically. So they basically directly ask that temples group basically. They will say that basically they will basically don't do directly basically, but they will get some money basically. Then after that money basically they will do this also basically. And up to that level also up to many level basically they do the stuff basically. So they also basically cleared. After that basically they will ask to their family members and then basically the friend circle. They also basically say that bekar aadmi hai. They also approve his videos. Then basically they at last connects to the Bollywood department also, because each and every house basically are connected with the Bollywood department. Bollywood department also basically see few videos basically of each and every person, because they have the video of each and every person, basically the video of each and every person, but that they basically never see basically, but they have the video. Then also basically they few videos basically which is shortlisted by the software industry only, because software industry basically also want to finish him basically. So they give that kind of video basically. In that basically they Bollywood also basically takes the decision that basically finish him. So just imagine basically up to what level the plans are basically connected to finish one person. So they also do that basically. Then basically they implements the plan. That is the marriage of HIV/AIDS girl. Basically. Then they basically do. So one person told that this person basically was in Bangalore city, right? And this plan was executed in Bangalore city. So what is the upper level of Bangalore city basically? who created Bangalore city and how basically each and every stuff basically are connected. Then basically he connect that basically this was connected to his Bangalore city visit basically. Because he visited Bangalore city and the Bangalore energy basically connected to him, and due to that basically connected to that HIV AIDS girl basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the stuff basically are created. The city creation basically. As in that basically one person basically is moving to that city basically where which city is going to be finished in war basically. And he's basically taken house in that city only basically. He basically don't know that basically the house basically is taking that basically city is going to end basically. That state is going to end. Why? Because the state is created and going to use basically in war purpose basically. In war purpose basically they are going to use this city basically. They basically created it. The upper basically was like this basically that city basically is going to be used in war purpose. So that energy basically overwritten his energy. He basically his dream was to do marriage, to have the child. That was the dream basically. But in the real basically something else happened. Why? Because that city is created to use in world war basically. When world war will happen basically in the India basically, the effect of world war will happen in India. That time basically they are going to use that city basically, that state basically. You can't imagine basically up to what level stuff basically are connected. So one of the person told that yes, yeah, basically. That's very strange. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic.